Hello, Dulcie. Hi, welcome everybody to Astrology Victoria once again under the astro blanket to discuss. What is it that we're discussing? I kind of forgot.
Magic, the mysticalness. Is
that
mystical?
Dulcie, I think I'm blending with you. I feel you. Are you or are you me? I don't know. Dulcie, well, do you see it? Like it's there.
No, Tatiana. What do you see?
You don't see it?
No.
You can't see it?
I see the wall.
No, I'm not talking about the wall. I'm talking about... You don't see it.
What are you seeing, Tatiana? Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
never mind. Just keep our thing. Okay, don't worry. Okay. Yeah, what? So what are we talking? Yeah. So what are we discussing? I kind of forgot again.
So today we have our head in the clouds. Oh. Looking around, and we will somehow come up with words to discuss Pisces.
Oh, Pisces. Oh, thank you, Pisces. Oh, yeah. No, I forgot about it. Like, no, I'm back. Yeah. Pisces. So today we're here in our series of archetypes to discuss Pisces. So, Dulcie, with no further ado, let's start with the very first.
The
basics.
So we have the duality, which is feminine. And what a beautiful mug you have there, Tatiana.
Oh, I shall talk about our mug at the end. Ooh. Sun, moon, rising.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I really...
Are we getting distracted, Dulcie?
Oh, so Pisces. Okay. And the triplicity or the element is water. The quadruplicity or the quality is mutable. And the ruler, so the ancient ruler is Jupiter and the modern ruler is Neptune. So Jupiter is the god of expansion, good fortune, like benevolence, abundance. And what about Neptune, Tatiana?
Well, Neptune is one of the ice giants, really far from the sun. And Neptune, represented the god of... It's Poseidon. It represented the god of the waters. And Neptune represents everything that dissolves. Neptune makes everything fuzzy, indistinguished, almost like we don't know if it's tangible or not. Whereas Saturn is structured and clear, Neptune blurs everything. And Neptune is connected to everything. It's the higher of the higher of the higher mind. Is really the dissolution of everything, dissolution of ego. It's the void almost. We could say the light, but even light might not even be a thing. It's the void. Is where everything just merges, like the ocean. Everything merges, and if you're swimming in the middle of the ocean where there's nothing, there's no up, there's no down, you just don't know. And that's Neptune, and it brings the awareness of the higher planes, and we call them higher, but who knows where they are? They might not be up there. However, in this case, they are. Can you see it, Dulcie?
Yes, I can see it.
There you go. You see? So there is something out or elsewhere that is represented by Neptune, but this watery, even though it's not just water, it's lots of frozen things in Neptune. But it's that idea of dissolution. That's why when we talk about Pisces, we talk about the dissolution of the ego, the death we could call, but it's not death in the sense of like, oh, something's alive. It's death. It's like the transformation that is dissolved, like a watercolor that slowly dissolves and then becomes something else or nothing, and it just merges back into the ocean, or like a wave that was once was, and then the wave dies and it's back into the ocean. So it's the same ocean constantly transforming and dissolving. That's the energy that Neptune brings into Pisces, and that's what Pisces really is about. And we can talk a little bit about the feminine element. And the feminine element in Pisces, again, we come from this very mental energy of Aquarius in the natural zodiac, which took us to a devotion to humanity, and to still a humanity that exists as such. And then when we talk about Pisces, we dissolve even from civilizations or into oneness, into true oneness, not the oneness of Aquarian energy, which is we are all part of our body, like we saw in the last video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But in the oneness that is the true oneness, it's like there's not even separate entities or bodies. When we talk about the Piscean energy, is everything really is one, is source, is the void, is the nothingness. So yeah, and the feminine element then brings back, instead of that focused, again, masculine focused outward energy, comes back into it's like the wave just coming back to the ocean, just comes back into that dissolution. And the mutability of it is like probably the most mutable of all signs, because it's the one that's impossible to grasp. Like, try to hold water in your hands, it will just kind of slip. And if you contain it in a glass, well, it will eventually like stagnate and die, like get full of stuff, So that's like an analogy for like the Piscean mutability. Is like water's always flowing. Water falls from the sky, then it goes into the earth, it does its thing, it evaporates, it goes to the oceans and rains, and then the rivers, and water. If this is the most mutable of the water signs, I mean the most mutable, it is the mutable water.
Yeah,
yeah, of course, because it's not the cardinal or the fixed water. This is the mutable water. So because it's mutable and it's water, is the most mutable of all signs, even the most mutable of mutable signs, because it has this quality of slippery fish. Like can't grasp it. Water will always find a crack to escape. And if it's contained too long and there will be pressure, it will like either water escapes. Keep a water in a glass, eventually it will be gone. It will have escaped anyways by evaporation. So you can't contain it. So water is meant to flow. And that's why the wisdom of the Piscean archetype is the eternal change and the eternal flow. Is everything just is in a constant state of change, and everything isn't even really a thing. If we go back to the pure source of things, is the nothingness. It's just dissolved. So yeah, understanding the archetype of Pisces as that coming back is also associated to the 12th house, where we have done the whole zodiac. We have gone through this journey, this hero's journey, and this is like coming back, is the return, where everything dissolves to begin a journey again. And that's where everything kind of ends. All right, so anything else on planets, signs, or planets or modalities?
No, just the permeability, the dissolution, the lack of boundaries, that kind of sense in the world and in an individual. No, let's go ahead.
So as I always say in these videos, I have created an image for each archetype, and our Piscean archetype today, here it is for you. So Dulcie, what are you seeing in this image, and what impression or feeling or sensation does it give you?
So this is actually, I'm just thinking of this now, but when I begin to meditate, this is actually the type of image that I would see. I'm deep in the ocean and I'm a mermaid or something, and I just kind of swim through the ocean and see all these sea creatures, and just feel that floating freedom. And that allows me to then continue on with my meditation and get to the next stage, or the next experience where I'm just zen or somewhere else, or whatever I'm doing, wherever I am. So that gives me that sense of floating freedom. So I see the light in the middle, and I see that as the divine source, that light that we can see when we're meditating, that people see when they have near-death experiences. Often we hear stories of people seeing a light and moving toward the light and it feeling warm and welcoming and loving. So that divine source, however you want to describe it. And we see the fish swimming around. So they're kind of swimming in a circle and just kind of continuously moving around. And so that can represent some sort of divine infinity, infinity in the world and infinity in the universe, kind of blended as one concept. I see an angel at the top there. So the Piscean energy represents the ability to connect with other worlds, other realms, and the ability to connect with other creatures and beings that we don't necessarily perceive here on this tangible earth.
You really don't see it? Like, you don't? It's there.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that can be that's what I see with the angels, and I see the mermaids down at the bottom and fairies. So that connection with just imagination and other realms, whether it is just your imagination or whether you are connecting to other worlds and that most people don't necessarily see on a daily basis.
Oh, a dragon just flew by.
Yeah. She lives amongst them. um, and we see the blending of the ocean and the sky, like the ocean and the universe together. So it's just the dissolution that we had discussed earlier, just the complete absorption into the everythingness.
Yes, exactly. And it's also connected to, so of course the water, but it's the water element, and it's this, it's beyond, is the universe or the multiverse or the everything earth. And that source is like the point of origin. And we don't know if it's light, it could be just a void, or but it's like perceived, like you said, as light, where people have near-death experiences. There's something else, basically. Pisces energy connects to that something else, the intangible, the invisible. And it's not necessarily the Wi-Fi, and it's connected to whales and dolphins. And it is said that these mammals are, whales, mammals, dolphins are, well, never mind. I forget what they're called.
Whales are mammals. Dolphins
are
they mammals or fish? Something. There's something different about them.
Yeah, there's something different. Never mind the discussion. We'll have to Google that one. Sorry about. Well, how do I not know that, Dulcie? Anyway, so basically, are we getting distracted again? So
that's what's important.
Yeah. So the whales, and they're said to be connected to a higher level of consciousness. So that's represented again by that Piscean archetype. That's like other level of consciousness. And then consciousness has different quote unquote levels, or, there's an awareness of being in different frequencies of energy and connected to these other worlds and realms that are of a higher nature or of a divine nature, if you want to call it like that. And then, yes, then mermaids and fairies, they're considered as like fantasy as well, because then somebody says like, well, I see the fairies and I see the mermaids or I spoke to this little being, and it's like, well, that's fantasy, like, oh, we have Shakespeare who made this Midsummer Night's Dream, and then he included the fairies, and that's a fantasy, and then fairy tales, and and it's just fantasy. Somebody imagined that, but where does that come from? Like in reality, even Avatar, right? It's like, where does these things come from? They have to have originated somewhere. And there's like these patterns in the image as well that I put there. These are the patterns that I personally see sometimes, either in meditation. When I close my eyes, I see patterns, or sometimes even not in meditation, just it happened to me once, and a very interesting experience, and it just opened my eyes and I could see the lines, but they were out, but they're not really out. They're part of like what I'm projecting from inside. And again, these are all these unknowns, right? That maybe the ancients knew more, that we're just connecting again. With Neptune being in Pisces currently, there's a lot of this energy being brought about of higher consciousness. So yes, this is like basically the feel of this energy. Is there anything else about this image or the Piscean archetype, aside the dissolution, before we go into how it manifests in its positive and less positive aspect?
Yes, so dolphins are mammals and sharks are fish.
Oh, that's what it was. Thank you, Dulcie. There you go. You see? Thank you. Yeah, I was like, yeah, there are mammals. Yes.
Different about one of those creatures, but
yeah, exactly.
moving on. Yeah. Okay. Shall we do the higher octave or the more positive qualities?
Yeah, let's do the more positive qualities. And I don't know if I mentioned that in Pisces, there's a dissolution of the ego, or what we perceive as ego or identity. Mm-hmm. That's where identity dissolves. So that's right. Also something interesting, like right. From this image. So yeah, so what are the positive traits of the Piscean energy?
Yeah, just on that note, so Piscean individuals can struggle with their own identity often, just kind of not quite knowing who they are.
Yeah, exactly. They blend with everything. I am the flower, the flower. Yeah. Well, and there's a thing. Also, like Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and Venus, when we talk about Venus, usually we talk about love, but with love and pleasure and beauty and art and all of that stuff. And Neptune is the higher octave. So we talk about divine love. So it's not like romantic love, like, oh, I love you, my Valentine. It's more like this divine love, the sense that our heart is connected to something so immense that's beyond anything that could be possessive in any way, shape, or form, because there's no possession in that divine love. And that's why the word love is so tricky to use, because it depends how you understand it. But in the Piscean way, it's the divine love. It's completely unconditional. There's nothing is above or below, or it's just everything's just one, like truly one. That's why I am the flower, I am the earth, I am the sky, I am you. How would I ever harm you? However, harm something that it's me, right? Like, so that's why the Piscean archetype in its best expression is extremely compassionate, because it is completely understanding of everything other, because there really is not an other. That's like one of the most beautiful qualities of the Piscean energy. So divine. So, it's snowing.
Someone told me it was snowing, but it's not snowing here, at least that I can.
Wow, water falling in forms of.
I see it.
the water now is falling in the shape of snowflakes. Ah, I
I'm
am the
here
snowflake.
from Montreal to get away from the snow, so I am displeased.
Are we getting distracted again by Dulcie? Oh, I am the snowflake.
Very different reactions to the snow falling.
Oh, where were we? So yeah. Anyway, positive words. So
So I have intuitive, imaginative, impressionable, and that's where the kind of permeability comes from, like just the lack of boundaries. They are impressionable from the outside world, other people, other creatures, the world around them. Adaptable, kind of good at going with the flow, and spiritual, clairvoyant, sensitive, empathetic, and a hard worker in service of a cause or an ideal. And that's different than the Aquarian ideal, where in Aquarius it's an ideal, what they perceive as what
for
ideal
society, yeah, for
humanity
the
is.
world, for humanity, yeah.
Whereas this is because there's a sense of compassion for others, an empathetic understanding of what others are going through, and a desire to serve and make things better for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. This is the idealistic, exactly what you're saying, for an ideal. Psychic, so highly psychic, which is I just go beyond the veil and I can extract that. Dreamy, you know, that's where dreams come from, you know. Well, you did say compassionate, unconditional. Yes, that's, yeah, we already talked about these beautiful qualities of the one that blends with the other and just has so much compassion, so true, and so devoid of that ego sense of self, because the self is connected to everything. So it's beautiful. What I have is the mystic, the true mystic, the dreamer, the poet, the seer, the one that sees beyond, and the visionary, again, is connected to the visions of something that's elsewhere. Now, in the negative traits, or the lower octave of expression of this energy, what do we have, Dulcie?
Okay, so I have flaky, forgetful of self-care, because there's a tendency to focus on other people's needs and recognizing what other people need, and forgetting to then look after oneself. A difficulty saying no, naive, having a lack of stability, poor boundaries, emotional confusion, and difficulty with being strict or disciplined.
Yes, definitely. I also have delusional. It could be the person as a little bit like, yeah, like we'd say it's schizophrenic, right? In that sense, it's just because it's so open to to maybe the higher chakras, the crown chakra, or the third eye are very open, and these people see lots of things, and it can become delusional and paranoid. That's like in the lower expressions, just pure paranoia and delusion and confusion, literally like craziness almost. It could be mental illness. It could be literally mental illness, because there's no distinction really between one reality and the other reality. And then there's a lack of even knowing. So when it can be it could be somebody that's like a lost soul, because it's like, what is this? I don't even know is this even real? What's this reality? It's like floating in, just cruising by, spaced out, like almost not present, because why be here in this real 3D material dense reality when there's all of that, you know. And yeah, it could be prone to addictions and escapism, because precisely the same thing, maybe living in a dense body is too limiting, and the sense of freedom that Pisces needs is different from the Aquarian sense of freedom. No, it's the spirit. Just how can I be free in this form? It's still a form. Pisces, it's the formless. There's not even a form. So yeah, it could create a lot of disruption in the soul if it's not well balanced and geared like towards a more like healthy sense of self and connection to spirit. It could literally be like haunted by demons, or things that I can't see, but they're there. So it could be provoking of fear. And that's when it's unhealthy, this energy. So yeah, that's basically it. And so Dulcie, do we have any anecdotes about Piscean people
I have a couple. Well, I have one about so somebody that I know, when he was a young child, he would wake up. I think I have the story correct. Anyways, he would wake up and just have these stories of like past lives, or just adventures he had been on when he was very young, and he didn't know enough about the world to be able to tell these kind of stories yet. And yet he had a knowledge of.
How old was he?
Like 3 or 4, like super young.
Like, hi, Mom, I remember being in blah, blah, blah.
But he was able to tell intricate stories of things that he had done with other people. And he wasn't even talking about him as a 4-year-old child. He was talking about him as an adult, just doing these things. And yeah, he just hadn't had enough life experience yet to be able to understand those kind of concepts yet. So that was pretty cool. And just on the note of Neptune, when I was driving through California, I visited a friend who informed me that the fog that comes from the ocean has a name.
The
Calls him Carl.
What's it called?
Carl. His name is the fog that comes from the ocean. As I was driving along the coast, I would see the fog and just think, oh, hi, Neptune. Hi, Carl. And even here on the West Coast, like in Victoria, I'll drive along the ocean and see the fog. It's from the same ocean. So he's got to be named Carl. So that's very Neptunian.
Yeah. The fog. I can't see. Yeah. Yeah. We also kind of forgot to mention the victimizing aspect of the Piscean archetype. Some in the negative sense. If somebody, did you say the victim?
Nope.
I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah, maybe not. So I'm just bringing it back. So yeah, in the negative, like in the lower octave of expression, it can become the victim, because it's the typical person that's so naive or something, that something happens to them and then they're just like victimizing or suffering over the world suffering, and then it's like, oh, it's the pity party, because there's so much pain and sorrow about just existence. So that's could be the very, very, very lower octave of Neptune, or the martyr, like, I will sacrifice myself for humanity and die on a cross, because it's and we know in this age of Pisces, like one of the symbols is Christ, who died on a cross for humanity. That's like the perfect example of that archetype of the martyr, someone who literally gives themselves, their body, everything for everything, for all of it. So yeah, that's I mean, it could have a good connotation when it comes into like service to others, but when it's taken to an extreme, then that's when it's not healthy, right? Another story is, well, I have a friend, she's really lovely. She's a Pisces rising, Pisces moon, and literally, like, it's almost like she walks on her tiptoes. She doesn't even walk flat. It's interesting. When I was here, she always tiptoes, like she's almost not there. She's very, very thin, and her movements are very, very delicate, almost like you think she's gonna break. That's how delicate it is. And it's, wow, that's like a total Pisces thing. I personally don't have planets in Pisces, but my Neptune is extremely strong in my chart. I'm a first house Neptune, with 2 planets in the 12th house. It makes me very close to the water elements and to the Neptunian field, the spiritual fields. And well, I could have millions of stories that I will tell you. And I will be giving a talk for Astrology Victoria on the structures of consciousness, and how that works with astrology, using my Neptunian channeling abilities. And I have lots of stories of, yes, internal trips and like things I see. Again, am I crazy? Maybe. I mean, I'm still very Virgo, thank God. I have my feet on earth. But I consider myself like a practical mystic because I do have those 2 elements. And I'm going to leave you a video clip here somewhere. It's a real footage. It's me dancing with a friend. It's real footage. It's probably the first time I'm ever going to publicly show it. I've had it for a few years. Because it's like, well, people are going to say I'm crazy. What is this? Like, it will be subject to all kinds of comments, but I'm not going to say what it is. I'm just going to ask you what you see, what you think this is. Again, and I have many videos of like this, and I've seen things like this in other people's videos. So again, just saying there's something else in those other realms. What? I don't know. How? I don't know. Can I claim something? Maybe not, but I think we all have, there's something out there, So yeah, when you watch that video, this video, I'm going to replay it a few times. Again, here it is. Again, you see it, here, there it is, there it comes, there it is, you see it, that's what it is. That's what I'm talking about. And then you can let us know in the comments, A, what you think about that, B, what your beliefs are, C, if you know people that have strong Pisces and their stories, we would love to know in the comments. And the last but not least, so if you're liking the images that were presented here, and now that we finished our archetype series, you can have all of those archetypes and beautiful images in beautiful, wonderful products, including the mug that I'm drinking out of that Dulcie mentioned. Look, this is my sun, moon, rising. I have Aries moon, Sagittarius rising, Virgo sun. Dulcie, this is yours.
Anna made one for me. I'm so excited to
I know, but I have
to look at that.
It's I haven't seen you in forever, so I just kind of push it through the screen so you can get it, like, and then it's all over in your hand. That would be wonderful. But anyway, are we getting distracted again? The whole point is, like, yeah, if you like to support the art, and I'm an artist as well, then the links are going to be below. It's still in the making, so be patient. But by the time you see this video, maybe it's already finished. So be patient if you're still in January and in February 2020. It's not yet completely done, but then get yours as soon as this is done. And last but not least, please feel free to share, like, and subscribe to these videos, because that helps more of people get this wonderful content.
Click on the little bell button so that it
bell button
you.
Beep, beep. Click like, subscribe, bell. Click like, subscribe, bell. click like, subscribe, bell. There you go. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And also don't forget to join Astrology Victoria BC on Facebook and on Instagram. We have an Instagram finally. So join us there for more of our fun little things and our offerings of speaker series. And I think this is it for the Piscean souls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Off to the ocean and space we go.
You don't see it. Like, don't see. All right. Off we go. I'm going to go swim. Bye. Bye-bye. Love you unconditionally forever.